Harlan Municipal Utilities regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. It is Thursday, September 29th, 2022. Let's start with approval of the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Mel, are you going to be voting on everything?
Yes.
No.
No? Did we do? I think we.
Yes.
Okay.
Roll call.
You didn't hear.
No, you're kind of breaking up on us, so. Are you there now?
I'll send her this again and see if she can.
We'll carry on here. Item 3 is the approval of the consent agenda. It includes the minutes of the September 8th board meeting, abstract of claims number 1221 in the amount of $2,074,256. And the upcoming board meetings, October 13th will be an electronic board meeting, and October 27th will be a regular board meeting. And to receive and file the insurance meeting minutes from 8/25 and 22.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Nella will second. Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Favor aye.
All right. We seem to be working now, so item number 4 is receive and file the 2021-2022 fiscal year audit.
Okay. I'm Darren Walsh. I'm with the firm Bruno Bell Kind Company out of Atlantic. We've been doing this audit for 6 years now, and I'm going to go over some of the highlights of this year's audit. Starting on page 2 is the independent auditor's report. This is an updated standard wording for a clean or unmodified opinion. Second paragraph states that in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of Harlan Municipal Utilities as of June 30, 2022 and 2021, and the respective changes in its financial position and its cash flows thereof for the years then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. What this means is that the books are being represented by the financial statements. So what you're seeing on a monthly basis are representation of what's going on. The fourth paragraph, responsibilities of management, is management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements. Turn over to page 2A. Our responsibilities as auditors is our objectives are to obtain a reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinions. Basically, Joe, Monty, and Jenny provide the financials. We then review them, make sure that they seem reasonable, and provide an opinion on each of the funds and as the total. The next several pages is a management discussion analysis. This is a requirement for GASB, Government Accounting Standards Board, that just gives management a chance to explain what is going on, to provide any reasons for any thing that's for any circumstances. We'll skip over that and skip to page 4. And I guess if you have any questions at any point, please feel free to interrupt. Page 4 is the statement of net position. This provides your assets, liabilities, and net position. Start at the top of the page for the electric fund is capital assets, net depreciation. There's a small decrease this year. You ended the year with $25,459,000 of capital and equipment. You added about $856,000 of new equipment this year, but you had depreciation or the expensing of that new and the old equipment of $1,229,000, which would be a decrease of about $372,000 from last year. The second section, special purpose funds. This is your reserves, money set aside for future purposes. Increase this year to $5,237,000, an increase of about $518,000. Current assets, the big change here is cash. End of the year with $5,948,000, for an increase of $1,017,000. Going down to the bottom half of the page, your long-term debt decreased this year about $950,000. This is paying down of your debt. The electric funds debt will be paid off in October of '24, so it'll be paid off pretty shortly here. Overall, your total net position was an increase of $2,315,000 to get to your total net position for the electric fund of $35,892,000 at the end of the year. Overall, very solid financial position, continual improvement. Good to always see the growth of reserves for any potential need for those in the near future. Next fund is the gas fund. You ended the year with capital assets net of $1,193,000. This is an increase from last year, about $82,000. You had about $170,000 of new additions with depreciation of about $88,000. The third section, current assets, cash is ended the year with $3,278,000. This is an increase of about $278,000 over last year. Bottom half of the page, fairly comparable to last year. There is no debt outstanding on the gas fund. Overall, total net position, you ended the year with $4,855,000 of net assets, or an increase of about $422,000. Another fund that you have a solid financial position, continually improved, and that you have no long-term debt. Next fund is the water fund. Ended the year with capital assets of $10,450,000, increase over last year of about $303,000. You had about $730,000 of new assets added, with depreciation about $427,000. Current assets, cash, increased this year about $192,000. A lot of this is just moving cash from reserves into the operations. Bottom half of the page, had a slight decrease in your long-term debt from last year. You had about $300,000 of new debt paid off, a little bit more than that in old debt. So you ended the year with a long-term debt of $4,718,000. Total net position for the water fund ended the year with $5,483,000, an improvement of $276,000. Water fund shows a good financial position. Cash still needs to be improved on. Trying to get all that to make some improvements to get more of a better cash flows, but still good overall financial position. And traditionally, water funds also have a higher reliance on debt, just because a lot of the assets are longer term. So when you have to make improvements, they're long-term improvements. Telecommunications, the ended the year at about $3,500,000 of capital assets, decreased this year about $200,000. Only put about $72,000 into capital assets this year, minus the depreciation of $276,000. Second section, special purpose funds. Ended the year with $249,000 of money set aside, a slight decrease, about $89,000 from last year. Again, you moved some cash from reserves into operations. Overall, total assets ended the year were $4,031,000, a slight decrease of $339,000. Bottom half of the page, the long-term debt was, you spent about $188,000 to pay down debt this year. And then overall total net position, you ended the year with $1,920,000, an improvement of $3,370. So not much of an improvement, but it's at least keeping pace with that you aren't losing money on it. Obviously, it's one of the weakest financial positions of your funds, but you have a significant investment in capital assets that takes a while to collect on. Turning over to page 6. This is your statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. A lot of your numbers are fairly comparable to last year. Some of the larger changes, the electric fund, you ended the year with $8,402,000 of total operating revenues, an increase of about $896,000. Biggest change here was there's a little bit more collection on other sales MISO. You didn't use as much locally, so you were able to sell it on the open market and get some revenue that way. Bottom half of the page, total operating expenses increased about $340,000. Most of this is to offset the MISO increase, because you also had cost of power increase. Overall, you ended the year in the electric fund, as I said before, with a $2.3 million net income. The gas fund, fairly comparable to last year. Revenues, except for revenues and cost of the gas, were both down a proportionate amount. Biggest thing last year was there was a higher increase of cost due to the polar vortex. It's getting back more to normal revenues and expenses. Water and telecommunications were both fairly comparable to prior year. Some things to also look at is interest income continues to be down due to lower rates during COVID. Starting to see some of those rates at banks improve, so hopefully that will start to improve in the years coming. Other than that, the other non-operating revenue and expenses are comparable to the prior year. Turning over to the statement of cash flows. The top line across the board, net cash provided by operating activities, shows a positive, and it's consistently showing improved positive cash flows. Electric fund ended the year with a net cash provided by operations of $3.5 million, an improvement of $333,000. Gas fund ended the year with $530,000 of cash provided by operations. This is an improvement of $202,000. So this is your checkbook basis, I guess. Water ended the year with $736,000 of improvement of net cash provided by operations. That was a $68,000 improvement over last year. Telecommunications ended the year with $424,000 net cash provided by operations, an improvement of $192,000. The third section is net cash flows from capital and related financing activities. The big changes here was this year that you did have a slight debt proceeds. You're starting to use some debt from Iowa Finance Authority for planning and design of the water fund. And that would also kind of offset that there's a little bit more capital expenditures this year, about $1.8 million used in cash for capital expenditures, about an $865,000 larger use this year. The next several pages are standard footnotes of accounting policies, additional information on reserves, capital assets, long-term debt, and pension accounting. We also have the supplementary information with more detailed info on all the expenses and the comparison for the 5-year. I wasn't planning on going over any of that in detail. It's there for your guys' managerial purposes. The last thing I was wanting to go through is the compliance report at the back of the audit report. Page 56 is your independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters. First section is your report on internal control over financial reporting. The one item that we discussed with this is the last sentence of the last paragraph on page 56. It said we did identify certain deficiencies in internal control described in part 1 of the accompanying schedule of findings and responses as item 2022-001 that we consider to be significant deficiencies. We'll discuss this in just a minute. Turn over to page 57, the report on compliance and other matters. The last sentence of the first paragraph, we noted certain immaterial instances of non-compliance or other matters which are described in part 2 of the company's schedule of findings and responses. State auditor has us look at 10 different items for the utilities, and most of them are positive. We have one comment, but we'll go over that in just a minute. The internal control deficiency, this is on basically all small audits of rural communities, all utilities and everything, is a segregation of duties. It just states that management is responsible for establishing and maintaining internal control. Just with a limited number of staff, we have to, we would give the recommendation that we recognize that it may not be economically feasible for the utilities to employ additional personnel for the sole purpose of segregating duties. However, it is our professional responsibility to bring this control deficiency to your attention. We recommend that the board be aware of this lack of segregation of duties and they act as an oversight group to the accounting personnel. So each month when you're getting all the different expenses and bills and stuff, look through them. If something looks weird, ask questions. It is your responsibility as the oversight to be able to know what you're agreeing to and approving at these board minutes. And so that is your job as the board, as oversight. The other findings related to required statutory reporting. The 10 items, most of them are positive. Basically, no comment means that there's no issues. The last item is economic development on page 60 is the utilities paid $35,000 to the Shelby County Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Our recommendation is that you should continue to evaluate and document the public purpose and served by these expenditures before authorizing further payments. We're not saying that anything's wrong with them. Usually you guys provide substantial documentation of why this is. It's just continue to approve why that it meets public purpose. Just one of those things that the state attorney has, since 1986, has said that this needs to be looked at, and if it's, just add any additional support that you feel needs to be. Any questions? A lot of information in a short amount of time. If you think of anything later, feel free to ask Joe or Jenny to forward any questions to.
So I do have one question. So this internal control deficiency, did Joe or Jenny mention of the position they're seeking relative to a financial manager added to the staff? And if so, would that have impacted this finding or deficiency?
With having limited number of people who have financial accounting knowledge, it is very hard for a small organization. Unless you get to an organization size, like John Deere or something, would be basically very few of our clients do have the ability to segregate duties to where people have the financial knowledge to oversee that and not perform any of the preparation. So.
Yeah, so my question is, did they talk to you about an additional billet when you conducted the audit? Was that a discussion?
When we did have a CFO, we still had this in our audit. We still had that right up in there, but even when we had a full-time on
So
staff,
it's
if
no-
that answers your question.
Yeah,
We
so-
talked about that at the audit meeting also.
Yeah, so no, an addition of a billet, that specific billet doesn't address this deficiency.
No, it'll still show up.
Any questions? We'd entertain a motion then to receive and file the 2021-22 fiscal year audit.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
I believe we've lost Nella, but
But she.
Oh, did she make it on here? Okay.
But, yeah, I can't tell if she's frozen or not.
okay.
She said that she does have very bad service, so
Yeah.
that probably will.
Does she have vacation?
She didn't say, she just said she wouldn't.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, item number 5, Tammy of Secret Serenity to present the board with a backbilling question and concern. Tammy, the floor is yours.
I would love to stand, but I recently had surgery, so I'm going to sit. But I wanted to thank Joe for having me today. I do want Joe and Coburn to explain when they came into the store to talk to me what they discussed, so I don't misappropriate what the information was to 36 businesses.
Yeah, Tammy, basically that was anybody that has a 400 amp meter panel on their house or business that requires a class 320 meter. So basically there was 36 customers that had the 400 amp meter box and had the 320 or class 320 meter in it, but we're only and we classify that 320 meter as a single phase large meter in our billing or our base fee. There was 36 customers that had that larger meter, but we're being only charged for the single phase small meter, which was at $20.82 a month difference between those two classifications.
So why I'm here is because I understand, because we needed the 400 amp meter, but when we're financially in a great position of millions of dollars, Joe, you even said yourself that in my business, that $104.10, what is that? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's 18 employees who depend on me. I chose to have the 400 amp panel, but my concern is, what is a menial $3,747 when we're doing so financially well? I expected someone to come into my store. You and Colburn both stood there, kind of like, well, whatever. And I'm glad you stopped in, but not everybody was discussed this face to face. And my problem with it is the forgiveness. because you both stated that this went back from October of 2017. And you're forgiving 4 of those years except 1. So I'm here in front of the board to ask for 5 months of forgiveness.
And just to correct you too on that, Tammy, we did actually personally go see every customer, all 36.
I'm not here about the other businesses, I'm here for my own.
Right.
And I'm asking for the forgiveness of 5 months.
But I just wanted to be clear on that we did actually go see everybody.
But I want to be clear, that's why I'm here. No one else is here defending their business, but I do have to worry about every dollar. So I'm asking you, will you forgive 5 months? If you're going to forgive 4 years of other people to a new business.
And like I said, that's the change there. I mean, there were, I think, a couple, oh, go ahead, David.
I'm one of them. I have this service, it was misbilled for whatever reason. The board had a decision to make not that long ago regarding back billing issues and whether and how long we were going to go back. And the board chose to establish 1 year as we felt that was fair. One thing we have to remember with a municipal utility is that this doesn't come out of corporate profits. It doesn't come out of Joe's salary. It doesn't come out of my pay for being on this board. It comes out of the ratepayers. And ultimately, our financial position determines what those rates are going to be moving forward. This isn't, we're not taking money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket here. We're actually dealing with a community situation, and our rates are based on those fees. We felt that 1 year was reasonable. I also, we could have gone back 5 years. That was an option based on the state's rules, but we chose to go back 1 year because the shock to a business would be tremendous if you went back 5 years on something like this one. So we had to pick a spot somewhere.
Well, we also base it on when we do the last audits on all the meters and everything. And the meters are all checked and verified on a yearly basis. And so we said it wouldn't be fair if we hadn't done a meter audit, go back, prior to that or anything.
Is it fair to forgive 4 years and I'm asking you for 5 months?
So,
Instead of worrying about forgiving the 4 years to the people that did it, how about the people that don't have this service and didn't get forgiven anything?
Where are they? I'm the one sitting here. And
We are sitting here. I'm with you on this, believe me. I paid mine, and it's a lot more than yours. So
I'm sure it is, but yet still, like you keep saying fair. Joe and I talked about fair. Coburn and I talked about fair.
did you receive the service?
It's like if I went back to my clients and said, I'm sorry I forgot to charge you a fee for the last year, but so I'm just going to forgive 5 months of it. I can't do that. And I'm trying to have you look at it on the aspect of I am your client. You're going back a year, you're going 5 months for how much money? Like how much will you, when you're financially favorably positive, we just listen to what your financial last year was. Is this really 36 businesses who really kind of are upset and really had everything automatically withdrawn from their accounts for the additional charge, which no flyer was put in our billing, nothing was stated. And I'm glad, again, and I've said that to Joe, you came to me personally, but it wasn't a pleasant situation. It was quite troubling when you have full staff, lots of people in your business, and they walk in, and I walked up to each of them and said, this doesn't look good. Like, what is going on? Is something off or turned off? And it wasn't, congratulations on your new business and your big move and all the stress I'm sure you endured getting through COVID. There's a lot behind all of this in small businesses, big businesses. But I'm asking just for 5 months of forgiveness if we're going to forgive 4 years of other people. I feel that would be fair.
a couple questions and then a couple statements. So is your business has only existed for 5 months, or how long is your?
15 years.
15 years.
We just recently moved across the street, and I chose to have a 400 amp panel because I was not going to be in a firebox like I was for 14 years.
Okay. So I'm just just a facts kind of guy. So your bill is $3,747.
No, that is my bill. Additional charge was $104.10 for that 5 months. But if 36 businesses were charged that fee, I don't know what their fees were, it would be $3,047 and some odd change.
Okay, so if we use that figure, 3,747 for a year, in which we made a decision, the board made a decision not to go back the full 5 years, which is within our purview, we avoided charging $14,000 to customers. Vice, what we should have charged was $18,000 to the customers, to the 36, and have them brought up to be corrected.
Is this an error, an accounting error? Is this something that was just found recently? Like, I applaud that. I have to work numbers every single day and work behind the chair and make sure, again, 18 people have jobs. So I know what a budget looks like. I know what charges are, but I also know what forgiveness is.
Yeah, well, that's my point. I think what David, the chair, was pointing out is that we forgave by making a decision not to go back 5 years. We essentially forgave $14,000, almost $15,000. Your point about us sitting here and having just had our financial brief, the financial brief is, you run a business, there are capital expenditures that you've held off on making because you didn't have the money. Well, the utility now has sufficient funds to now pay off the things that we've avoided and ignored, neglected. So it's not that we're sitting here flush with cash. We have made business decisions and investments to get to a point where now we can make appropriate investments, I think is where we're at. So please don't think that...
There's no disrespect to that. I'm just making comment that there is favorable positivity in your books, and you have to make decisions that are difficult. Yep. But if this was just a flippant question of, okay, let's just forgive 1 year or 4 years.
No, it was a deliberate decision not to go back 5 years because of the impact, the adverse impact it would have on the business, and not just the businesses, but on customers writ large.
And our partnership. I mean, I'm in partnership with you as a business.
Correct.
So are many others.
So are you, I guess the two really, so you've expressed one option or presented one option to the board. I see there's probably two others. Is there a delay in billing that you're asking for?
No,
I
truly have the money to pay $104.10. It's the principle of the fact.
Right.
And you know that. I mean, I'm not just sitting here 15 years successful in a business here at a board meeting when I don't feel very well.
Right, but you did receive the service, right?
I received the service, correct. The point is, where's the fair? If 4 years are going to be forgave on many businesses and you're worried about my 5 months, I don't find that to be fair.
So you know...
They received the business as well.
Right.
This is my residence, not my business.
Well,
Most of the people on
business.
that list was their residence, not their business. This was, majority of this was residential.
Again, I'm here representing my business.
Yeah, and so no delay in billing, that's what you're saying? And no liquidation of debt option is what you're saying as well?
I want you to reconsider what you decided of my 5 months.
Yeah, we are not going to reconsider your 5 months. We would sit here and reconsider the entire decision to bill others. So just because you're here doesn't necessarily mean others.
Then I represent 36 businesses that are probably questioning the same thing I am. And I don't want 36 people to come in next month to have to discuss this again. Again, I think I'm just being logical and I'm trying to be fair because the word keeps coming up fair.
Yeah. So there's 36 of you, and how many customers do we have at large at the utility? What are our customer count?
We have about 2,600 electric meters.
Yeah, so it's, there were folks that probably were overcharged as well, I suspect. Were there?
Not
in this case, no.
But if we had folks that were overcharged, what would we be doing to them?
Be crediting.
So
How far back? 1 year.
1 year, right? So
Regardless of the direction.
yeah. So it is good that you're here, and I do respect you as a business owner and as a customer. That's who we focus on is our customers. I'm just not sure that it's a compelling enough. Or
I do.
Obviously.
Clearly. So you're not saying no?
I don't have that authority. We're
Can
going
we
to put it
bring it
to
to
a
a
vote.
vote?
Is that, are we,
Somebody from the board would have to choose to make a motion.
yeah,
If anyone would like to do that, or if there's any additional questions.
yeah, I don't want to speak for the board. I've asked questions and I would default to those that maybe have a similar opinion to yours, if that makes sense.
So would you rather more businesses come to speak about this?
I think I would prefer that by you being here today, you presented us an opportunity to say that we approach this in a customer-focused, fair way that did not penalize the customer 5 years worth of billing. There are other things that are considering 5 years worth of billings. The board decided not to do that because of we care about our customers. So for you to say that we don't care is if we didn't care, we would be billing 5 years in a row. We do care, and that's why we've billed or chosen to not adversely impact businesses and individuals by going back 5 years.
I'm asking you to excuse the 5 months that I'm sitting on, for fairness.
In order to do that, it would require us to make an exception to a policy that we've already established. I'm not sure that we're even in a position to make that decision. We passed the policy. I believe we have to function within that policy, or else we would have to change the policy, which I for one, think our policy is honestly quite generous. And
To others.
the unfortunate truth, Tammy, is you received the service.
So did they.
Yeah, they did. And they were back billed for it up to the point where our policies were in place. And that was the best solution that we have.
So this was an error that was found in bookkeeping 2017, and we're coming back now saying, whoops, we found an error, yay. You could have waved a white flag to several people in our community to say, look what we did. We found something, we rectified it, we made a solution. There was a conflict resolution. This is awesome. But no, that didn't happen.
We didn't, because we took the 4 years off. So we could have billed for 5 and we took the 4 years
I
off.
understand.
I don't want to.
It seems like an accounting error that you could have wrote off because you too own a business. Instead of making a line that says some people are going to have to pay and some people won't.
The problem is that in this particular case,
It is a problem.
the amount of money that we're dealing with may seem insignificant to you. But our policy is based on all of our rates and all of our situations. If we found something where it was tens of thousands of dollars, and we would have a responsibility to go back and collect what was possible. And how much is possible is based on the board's resolutions, which we established as a 1 year. I believe it's fair. I'll stand behind it. That's where I stand with it. But I wrote my check. I didn't like it, but I did it.
Is this in front of the board for a decision, or is this just information?
Possible action.
Possible
If
action.
you guys
If
don't-
no one,
If there's no motion,
if
then
there's no motion, it will move on
It
to
will not
the
go
lack of
anywhere.
motion.
And then we can be back next month? Is that what happens? It's tabled?
It's just done. It's not tabled, it's done. Because there's no motion for this or not, it's just done. Is that taxable, the $104.10? Do you take it off on your taxes?
Could this accounting error be a write-off on taxes for
On your
HMU?
taxes,
As
when you
yours.
file it.
What about the 4 years you're excusing?
Well,
Is
I'm
that
just
a
saying on
write-off?
your personal taxes.
There's a good question, is it?
So are you asking,
We're a nonprofit.
so are you publicly asking for this utility to go back 5 years and bill everybody the full 5 years? Are
If you're
you
making
publicly
me-
asking for
If
that?
you're making me pay my due fair share, why wouldn't you be asking everyone? I mean, you're drawing a line in the sand because I don't think anybody really thought about it.
Well, I think we
Because
did think about it. We thought about it seriously. And we thought about the fact that if we went with the state's 5 years, it could have a dramatic impact on
On
a business that we
businesses.
didn't want to do. We felt that a 1 year was reasonable and realistic. If
Okay.
the service was provided and the business was utilizing that service, then why shouldn't we be paid for what we provided? If there was an error in billing either direction, we would be in the same boat. If we had made a billing error where we undercharged or overcharged, and suddenly we had to, deal with that situation, it's the same thing. There is a point in time in which you have to say, this is where we're going to bill back to. The board already made this determination that 1 year was realistic, and like I said, the state set it at 5 years max, and we had the ability to shorten it, which we felt we were being fairly generous by cutting it down to 1 year. So I'm sorry that you don't feel that way, but that's where this board has already made that decision. I don't know what else to say, guys.
Motion to stand by the,
No, we don't need to do that.
Okay.
If no one's going to raise a motion to change the policy, then
So what I would ask is, that, as you stand here or sit here, and there were 36 other customers that were affected by this, is that, I asked the electric department to give me what's the impact of this, plus and minus. In other words, they're at the 1 year mark and at the 4 year mark, or the full 5 year mark, so that we can go back to the community, to our customers, and convey that it's really not about $104. The decision before the board is really about $18,000, and how that would be pushed back upon the other customers. I think if we could get that information, that would be helpful. And then we could present that back to the individual 36 and say, hey, listen, this is your bill. This is what your bill could have been if the policy had been, if we change the policy the way you're wanting us to change the policy, which is to go back the full 5 years. I think that, not to put you on the spot, but that kind of shows our customers, and I hope you see it as well.
it also seems like a threat to the people because I'm here.
No, it's, what you're asking us to do is to go back and,
No, you're mincing my words. I'm here for forgiveness of 5 months because people are getting 4 years of forgiveness.
which is, you're asking if this, then that. In other words, either forgive your $104 or go back and charge everybody for their full 4 years.
You're the one who mentioned that and brought that up, Mr. Sheldon.
Jim, to answer your question, we have rough numbers right now. It was $8,500 is what our sheet shows, and if you multiply that by 5, it would be $42,000.
Okay.
Why not forgive it all? Why, when there's 5 years going back and you're just gonna say, this would be fair? Like, who declares or said 4 years? Okay, everything, like, I don't understand why would we even go back in arrears without upsetting people? Clearly.
because we have a financial responsibility to all the ratepayers, not just the ones that were involved in this billing operation. And while this one may seem insignificant at the $42,000 compared to the revenues that we generate, not every mistake that's ever been made is insignificant. We have to protect the utility. We have to have some level that we say, if there was a mistake made, that we can go back and rectify that mistake. How far back? That was a decision that the board had to make, and we did. We felt that we were being very generous by shortening it.
Why not all of it?
Because we have a responsibility to the rest of the ratepayers of the utility.
Because we have to set a policy.
Maintain our cash flow
Going
position
forward.
in a good way,
So $42,000 and odd change versus another $3,747.
In this particular case, it may seem insignificant to you, but not every issue that will come up on this in history might not be so insignificant. The policy was written to cover everything.
Not only electric, but gas, water, all of the utilities.
I understand.
Well, it impacts, if we start saying it for electric, you can take it and compound it for gas, water, and it's on down the line. And so there's a lot of things that go on to that. Other businesses, other incomes, everything.
It's still a conflict of interest. And in my opinion, I feel like there was an error that was found, and you're recouping the error of financial well-being that you're needing for your business.
So there were errors, 36 errors found. There were 2,000 plus that were not erroneously billed. By giving you, or giving the 36 a reprieve, we're asking the other 2,000 to cover the costs of, because ultimately you receive the service, you receive the support, you're just, and that's not just you, but the other 36 are being given the ability to not pay for the service while we're holding the other 2,000 responsible for the full payment of their service, so.
I assume everybody pays for the deficit of all 5 years, not just your business.
So the 40,000 would be distributed across all the customers?
No, I don't, again, don't mince my words. I'm saying that if there's $40,000 of discrepancy of pay that you didn't receive, it's an accounting error, it's an internal error. Who was responsible?
Yeah, but I think we've corrected that, right?
Yeah. No, in an organization of this magnitude with the number of customers and billings and all the challenges that we face, mistakes are going to happen. And all the audits in the world and all of the double checks in the world are not going to prevent them all, which is why we have to have policies like this.
And mistakes can happen, just like the policy at hand.
Seeing no motion from the board, I think we need to move on. I know that there are people here that are on the building later. I don't believe anything is going to change on that. So moving on to item number 6, we have Bill Lindley of Clayton Energy to present on gas supply and contracted services.
Thanks for having me today.
Thanks.
You got it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today. I appreciate it. I'm here to talk about natural gas for your city. I know you guys have a handout here. I am going to talk a little bit, but I'm more than happy to go through that. But I think you probably read through that, I'm guessing. I'm here representing Clayton Energy. We've been in business for 29 years. As you see from the graphs there, we've got 100% retention. We specialize in municipalities, that's all we do. And I wanted to, basically go over the services that we provide for you. You guys are doing business with a company called BP today. And that's where I got my, I didn't get my start there. When I got out of college, I started for another company, People's Natural Gas. And then I went over to Cibola, which is BP today. Left there in '93 and started my own business. Growing up in a family business that's still in business today, 87 years, I kind of got used to working in that type of environment and ventured out and put my own business together. So we represent the majority of Iowa. We, in '93, the company that you guys are doing business with today did business with most of the Iowa municipalities. And over the last 29 years, they only have one account left, which is you guys, City of Harlan, and we have 95% of the cities in Iowa today. This is not and even though I want to thank Joe and Colburn for giving me the opportunity to come here today, I appreciate them opening up. This is not my first time here. I came here in 2017 with the general manager of Coon Rapids, Iowa, and knowing what I knew about your system at the time, we came here and shared with them and invited them to be in the group, and that didn't happen, which is fine. So then we came back in 2019, again, representing the city of Manning. We put in a brand new pipeline for them, about 8 or 9 miles, to serve our Arcadia FAC facility up there on Highway 30. And we explained to the administration prior to Joe being here what would happen in February of 21 when you guys had a disaster, basically, with your natural gas situation. And so I went through all of that. We had an opportunity to help you at that time. I think you had checked into some additional capacity to buy for your city, and it was a couple $1 million, if I remember right, from Northern Natural. Construction's very expensive today. Serving all the cities that I serve, we have natural gas moving in all directions on the pipelines in the state of Iowa. So we have the ability to help each other. We are a very strong group of municipalities that work together and help each other in situations like what happened in February of 21. What happened there is you guys have a limited amount of capacity on Northern Natural's pipeline. I know the numbers, that's all public information. And you were not able to get the amount of natural gas that you needed through your capacity because you exceeded it. And what that did is that put you into a penalty situation, and you guys paid, dearly in February of 21. What we're able to do is we can pool. We have customers with excess capacity. For example, you guys are on the Denison branch line here. So the city of Manning, the city of Manila, Iowa, those are all in our group, customers, municipalities. As you see that map that you have there, there's dots on there. And all of those red dots are Clayton Energy customers. And you guys are that one green one there to the left. And what we're able to do is to provide excess capacity to help you guys out in situations like that. For example, the city of Wahoo, where my office is today, I was just born and raised there, so that's where my offices are. It's the same size town as the city of Harlan. And during February, nobody escaped. February of 21, nobody escaped that disaster for the most part. The city of Wahoo paid about $500,000, which was about somewhere in the vicinity of a fourth of what you guys ended up paying in February of 21. And the reason we were able to do that is because of the strength of our group. We are a program, we're not just a price. We help you with your rates in your city, we help you with capacity. Those are some of the few items that we do assist municipalities in, whether it's ordinances, helping with end users on your system, or just helping you establish your rates with your budgets and so forth. So that is what I really wanted to just start with anyway, and I can move into this packet of things here. Have you guys had a chance to look at this packet? Okay. Let's see if I missed anything here. And we specialize in municipalities. Like I said, 100% retention after 29 years, and we're serving 95% of the state of Iowa. So we provide all the services you're getting today, plus quite a few more. And that's really what I mean when I say a program versus just a price. You guys get a price today from your supplier. And that's the reason that all the other cities have left the group that you're with today. And not saying anything bad about them, just mentioning that you guys are in need of more of a program like the rest of the cities have needed, and that's why they've made the switch over to Clayton Energy over the last 29 years. So I could go through all those services, but I'd rather just basically open it up, if you've already read it, to any questions that you may have. I know that Joe and Colburn came up to the Northern Natural Gas meeting up in Okoboji. They had a customer meeting up there, and I believe, Coburn was the only one up there that was not in as a Clayton Energy customer. So, Northern Natural Gas works with me when they set up their meetings because everybody in the state of Iowa that comes to those is a customer of mine. But anyway, let me stop there for just a second and see if you guys have any questions on what you've read, or did you make any notes of anything on your handouts?
I know that Jim has some questions. Have you been before the board here?
They did not let me come to it.
I was gonna say, I've been on this board for 11 years and I don't remember meeting you before, sir. So I'm kind of at a deficit. They didn't allow you to come before us. I'm kind of curious on why, and since they're not here to explain that. Coburn, do you have any idea why?
I'm not 100% for sure. When I came into this, I was a foreman in the back for the 5 years back there, and I had heard that Bill had been here and that they just didn't want to do anything with him. And he had talked to Brad, and I've talked to Brad. I talked to probably 65 to 70 people at the Northern meeting in Okoboji. I could not find one person to say one bad thing, and I tried. And Joe and I have made several phone calls to different utilities to find out what they were doing and what was working and what wasn't working. And I couldn't find anything, and I tried.
Okay.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
So you provide a service, obviously. Where is so you say Northern Natural Gas obviously invited you, and you have a relationship or a rapport with them, I assume, or be in business with them?
Correct.
Yes, okay.
Do I do business with Northern?
Yeah.
Yeah, through the municipalities I do.
Okay, so are you running a marketplace, or are you running?
I am not. I'm not running a marketplace. I'm an agent on behalf of all the cities.
Okay.
I don't do any business outside of municipality business. I manage you guys' business on the pipelines to your best interest.
Yeah, so, I ask about a market just because, it's great that, the word monopoly kind of jumps in, right? So we're the last holdout, and, BP isn't here to represent themselves.
Right.
It's just sort of there's money to be made on both sides of the equation, right? If it's a commodity. So I was just trying to figure out.
Can I stop there for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
They make money on the commodity. We do not. We are paid a flat fee to manage your system and to make decisions based on your best interest. That's the difference.
Okay.
There's a lot of money made in commodity today.
Right.
If you know commodities at all, there's an index price of gas. There's the Henry Hub that you guys see in the paper. There's natural gas bases, just like there is on grain at different points. There is index premiums out there. There's a lot of money made on the commodity side today. Right. And that's why I do what I do. And in the last 5 years, those companies have made a lot of money. I know that Tenaska and BP represent about 75 or 80% of the gas in Ventura, Iowa. And last February, when you guys all paid those huge premiums, they made a tremendous amount of money, and that's their business. Hats off to them. I'm in the business to manage municipalities. I'm in the business to make my decisions based on your best interests, and that's why after 29 years I have 100% retention and I have 95% of the state.
Yeah, does that give you a market advantage though by having, in other words, are you able to go to Northern and with sort of a leverage point of all these municipalities that are in your portfolio? Or how does that work?
Yes and no. Northern doesn't supply gas. All they are is a transporter.
Okay.
So we go to suppliers as a group, and we have leverage to buy gas. That is correct.
Okay.
Now, what do we do with Northern? We're able able to help each other out. Let's say, for example, grain drying, that's a great example because most cities dry grain. Well, farmers, they tell elevators are coming in, they might show up, they might not. Elevators break down, they might not. We have natural gas running all over the state every single day. And we make changes throughout the day to balance so that you don't get into penalty situations. Like in February, you guys reached around 3,600 or so, if I remember right. You have a contract for 2,600. Well, you guys exceeded that by quite a bit, and that cost you a lot of money. In situations like that, that's when we help each other out. And I have cities that have excess capacity, and you get help from the other cities. Our group is very, very strong.
But from our pricing, because it is a commodity, then our pricing would probably still remain the same then for that?
No, your price would be at cost. Whatever the gas cost is what you pay. There's a tremendous amount of savings in that. Like for example, you guys hedge gas, we hedge gas. Well, when you're hedging gas, you're chasing the Henry Hub, NYMEX price, you're chasing a basis, you're chasing index premiums, and that's where those guys make a lot of money. That's the stuff I'm well aware of. I've been on the other side for 5 years. That's why I'm on my own, helping municipalities, and that's why I have the retention rate that I have, and we have the majority of the people in Iowa. And you guys are the only one left with BP, so I'm here to help you guys today. I don't mean that arrogantly at all. You guys, if that happens again in February of 21, you'll be in the same situation you're in then. And what I'm trying to do is to help you from being there. I've been here twice, and that's why hats off to Joe and Colburn for letting me come to the board, because I explained all of this in the prior administrator's office, and all I got, and I brought another utility guy with me to make sure that I had some backup for all that. And all I heard was, I'm from the oil patch, I know what I'm doing, I don't need any of your help. And I'm not saying anything negative at all about anybody, I'm just telling you, I wanted to come here because I knew you needed help.
Yes, I think that your February the 2021 is important, but it's not, as it relates to price management, budgeting, capital investments. I mean, those are more important that polar vortex was arguably an anomaly. It may happen again, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's an insurance plan. We don't necessarily just need an insurance plan. I think we need the ability to plan, to budget, to execute, to come up with, that's what I read in your brief as value added, not just trying to forego another February 2021.
Absolutely, I'm bringing that up because that was a disaster for a lot of people. But that's where we are a program, not a price. And those are the services that we offer. We help people with rates, I look at budgets, I help them set rates, and we actually do the PGAs. We actually, since we have all those costs, every month we send to every city what their cost of gas is so they know what to bill their people, and then they put their distribution charge on top of that.
Because all of the forecasts and everything is for this coming winter to be pretty dramatic as far as gas pricing and everything else.
It's been terrible. It has been. Yes.
So this would make the rate customers very happy.
Well,
It's going to be bad. But
the truth about commodities is no one can ever say what the price is going to be, and at the end of the day, the customer is worried about what their bill says. And how we arrive at the lowest possible bill is not the concern as much as that we do. And it sounds like you have a level of expertise and knowledge that we simply would not be able to have in-house. Would you say that's fair?
That's very fair. I mean, I don't want to run anybody down or anything, but I'll tell you that what we do, it'd be impossible to have that in-house. And because I have the tools as a group to manage those type of tools, that's where you get the benefit.
For the last 11 years, there's been a concern about natural gas capacity. If we had a major uptick in need in the area, do we have the ability to provide that? And that's been an area that we've not really been able to develop a great plan for. And so tell us how you would be able to help us through that.
Well, first of all,
without spending $2 million on it?
yeah, that's a good question. First of all, we would be able to help you immediately by having the capacity that we have on other utilities. They have excess capacity where you're short. So we would be able to come here and supply you that capacity and those volumes that you need versus paying the penalty dollars that you had to pay or those other higher prices. That's an immediate situation. Okay, second thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit down with you and I'm gonna look at your budgets and I'm gonna look at your capacity and I'm gonna look at, you know, some of your industrial loads out here, and we need to look at some of those ordinances that you have, and we need to look at maybe giving them a different rate class, asking, you know, each individual industrial customer, do you want to be firm or do you want to be interruptible? And that's the way most cities are set up. And if you want to be interruptible, then we're going to interrupt you when times get bad. And you need to have backup fuel if you want to continue to run like a propane air system like a lot of industrials have. Or you agree to shut down, or you agree to pay firm rates. And those firm rates that are coming in can help you collect the revenue that you need. So when Northern Natural Gas has an open season on the pipeline, then we can get some extra capacity. We watch capacity all the time. I was just at Northern's meeting yesterday with the city of Waukee. We take care of Waukee as well. And you know, while I was there, we found another 147 that was sitting there, capacity, grabbed it while we were there. That's what we do. We watch that stuff all the time because construction costs are expensive. So if something comes along, people are always repositioning their receipt and delivery points. And at that point, it frees up capacity. And how would you guys know if capacity is sitting there? It's impossible. We do. We see it. We see it on the bulletin board. So that's a situation where we could help you get more capacity. Or when they have open seasons, we would let you know what those are. We can put bids in on it. And you guys got behind a little bit. So now what you need to do is you need to slowly, while we can take care of you and cover you with other people's capacity, the best interest for your city is to get where you need to be. But do it a little bit at a time, not $2 million a shot. I mean, I'm just saying I've been doing this a long time, 35 years. I understand. That's what we need to do.
I just have one more question. So you mentioned, and we had it come out in the audit, really, was what's the value of our, we spent $35,000 from this utility on economic development. And we really struggle with utilities as it relates to providing an answer to the city to be able to say whether they can or can't expand or accommodate industry or this, that, or the other. The answer usually always goes back with no. Do you offer that service as well? In other words, to participate in or provide data that enables us to make?
Oh, I'm going to work on a regular basis with Joe and Colburn, and I mean, normally, here's what happens. It's the funniest thing, because if an industry's coming to a certain area, they're teasing everybody. So my phones, I mean, I see all these towns one at a time. They just call me and say, hey, so-and-so, we're thinking about getting this. And, well, that's the same 200 that they said here and here and here. So yeah, we can help you with that, but at the same time, we need to have a plan in place. So if they do want to come in, you know whether you can serve them firm or interruptible. And then if we have the capacity to help you serve them temporarily until they want to get capacity. I mean, people have gone to natural gas in the last 10, 12 years. I mean, look at propane this year. Contract price for winter is $1.85. That's $19 natural gas. You guys are going to serve it for a lot less than that, but I'm just saying that everybody that has the option has tried to switch to natural gas over the last 10 to 12 years. And look at all the ethanol plants. They put a stress on the system. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm good. The read ahead and then this dialogue's been very helpful.
Yeah, I'm happy to go through everything, like I said, but I'd rather open it up to questions. You guys have read this. There's nothing worse than somebody reading something to you. Been there before. It gets old.
I did not see what your flat fee. Or
right.
Based on total usage.
Right. No, it's a flat fee of around $1,900 a month.
Okay. So as a percentage of our revenue, it's pretty low.
It's very low. We're in this business. We just raised our rates for the first time since 2014, and it wasn't very much. We're in business to help municipalities. I grew up in a city this size. I know what it means to work in a city this size. I get it. And that's why we do what we do. And And we've done it through numbers. We've kept our rates low because we've had a pool of people. We've been able to manage that way. I couldn't do it with 3 towns. And that's why our system works. And you guys on the back end are getting, as good a deal because we have all the tools in-house, and when you jump in, then you get access to those tools. You get access to extra capacity here and there as needed. So you're not in that situation you were, and not trying to dwell on February of 21, and not dwell on that.
That was horrible.
Well, that was bad, but I'm more concerned about what happens if we had to turn away a major industrial customer. And these are solutions that we don't have a plan for, and if you can help us get that plan,
Yep.
that's a major improvement.
That's what we do every day.
And Joe, we discussed if we transition to this program, getting out of BP and everything, that's pretty seamless for us then?
Yeah, we got the contract till
October of 23.
Yeah.
But we have BP, I've written a lot of those letters, it's pretty much save as and put it on your letterhead because I've taken so many from them. But what we would be able to do is, Guthrie Center has the same situation. They didn't like the service they were getting, they switched to me, 2 years ago, and their contract goes through October of 23. Well, I've been taking care of them the last 2 years, and they appointed me as agent, and we take the volumes that you guys have hedged today, and then we buy the extra that you need and manage your capacity every day. So, does that answer your question?
I'm just saying, well, we pay BP now, and under contract and everything.
You'd only be paying them the fixed volume that you have, and then we would supply the rest of it, and then just take their volume and manage that for you with the extra volume that you need.
Okay.
And then be there for you if February 21 rolls around. I'm not dwelling on it again, I'm just telling you guys, it's scary.
Everything's scary right now.
What?
And not only that, but I mean, I think we should.
So Joe, what are you asking from the board here? Is this
I guess
an
if you're
approval to make the change, or are you looking for a?
No, we would come back with an actual contract next meeting,
Okay.
if that's the wishes of the board.
So then we act on it next time.
Yeah.
Correct.
I, for one, would have no problem with it. I think he's got some opportunities for us to solve some long-term problems that I've been concerned about for 11 years. So,
I agree, I think it's, the risk is important, but really, we need to be focused on opportunity, really is kind of where that's where we need the most help.
I mean, we discussed, we could go back out there, and try to, okay, Bill tries to submit something, we go back to BP, we have them try to submit something, but like I said, nobody does what he does. I mean, so really there isn't, how do you go out and compare apples to apples for somebody? How do you get somebody out there that does what he does?
But right now, we do a lot of what he does in-house, or try to.
Correct.
And we're putting it on, with Dar and now Coburn and stuff, and I'm like, we make it one person
Yes.
responsible here, and I guess that's always been my concern. I'm like,
And I think
if that person isn't available or gone or on vacation or whatever come February 21, that was a concern we voiced then, and I think this helps remedy a lot of that.
And I don't remember, David, you mentioned that as far as other industries. I mean, I think that opens us up more to that problem, to where we get a commitment, you can help us get that extra capacity.
I'm not seeing a negative as long as Coburn's not insulted by it. And he brought you in, so I'm guessing he's not.
Right, no, I brought him in because, it would alleviate a little bit of my time during the day, especially in the mornings, but he could bring something that I can't. I can't go out and just hit gas every day, and he has the ability that if our large customer breaks down and then we've already nommed the gas at 9 o'clock, he can make changes throughout the day. Once we set ours at 9 o'clock, we can't change it till the following day.
So Bill can do it, what, 5 times? 5 times a day he adjusts?
There's 5 cycles a day. And not to take away from what you do there, but we also, we do the forecasting. We have spreadsheets designed for the highs, the lows, the wind, the sun. We have all that dialed in. So, I don't ever want to take something away from a city employee, but I can tell you that some of them have kept wanting to do it. And after a year, I kept a sheet and I showed them what they called in on and where I had them. And then after that, they just went away and we forecast. I can't forecast your Essentia at 60% or 100% or 30%, but you get that every Friday. So if you give that to me every Friday, after that, we're gonna forecast your heat loads.
And that's, to me, that's the biggest win.
That is a big one.
We aren't one employee dependent, that employees, like I say, vacation, retires, whatever, it's like, oh God, where are we going now?
So come back with a contract?
Yeah.
Well,
Any additional
yeah,
questions?
so thanks for the brief. I think the utility owes a little bit of due diligence, and then after due diligence, bring it to the board, and I think we're on board. I just don't want to, there are people that are not here to represent themselves, and we want to make sure we're not, we're following the processes associated with state and individual tax or ratepayers allocation of funding, if that makes sense.
Sure, whatever you guys need to do.
I have one question, and it's really not of you, but do we have in our position a contract?
Of mine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he sent one just the other day, kind of mocked up, so that we can
Okay,
have you take a look at that.
okay, but it hasn't been sent delivered to me?
No,
Okay,
no.
I just want to make sure.
Just got it the other day, yeah. So, yeah, we didn't want to try to, we wanted to at least have Bill present, get a feeling,
Oh, absolutely, I understand.
Yeah.
I was just making sure I didn't miss anything.
No, he didn't.
Bill, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it today.
All right, moving on. Item number 7 is the water utility vendor agreement, low-income household water assistance program.
Yeah, that's just the LIWAP, I guess, is what we refer to it as. And that's same thing as LIHEAP, correct?
Yeah, but for water and sewer.
Yeah, for water and sewer, so we're just looking at a signing or approving of the vendor agreement so that we can accept the assistance funds to cover costs of eligible customers.
And the board actually approved it for a 2-year contract last year, and they just sent a few changes in it from the first year to this year, so,
So we have to approve it again to
Yeah.
change. Okay, anyone have any questions? Entertain a motion to approve that.
A motion to approve that?
Second,
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Bye.
Okay.
she told me, she typed me that she was gonna do a thumbs up in case we couldn't hear her, so, because the last motion, we couldn't hear her, so.
Okay, the item number 8 is the fitness membership assistance program.
Yeah, that's basically just a meeting with the city. Jen and I were both at, right?
Yeah, and Jim,
And Jim.
And
Yep.
I.
and Michelle.
Oh, yeah. That's good, yeah.
The insurance
So just
committee.
looking at that as far as maybe increasing that fitness membership contribution for employees.
And what is it currently?
Currently, HMU contributes 20% of the membership, and then since it's through the corporate program, Wellness Center contributes 10%. So they currently get a 30% off.
So I think there was a discussion at the insurance committee meeting to make sure we were synced up with the city as it relates to what they offer their employees. So has that taken place? Are we?
The city offers less than we do for the fitness membership.
But they were going to consider.
Yeah, I think there was talk. I think,
Yeah,
about
they were
them trying
gonna
to come
consider
up-
going up.
They haven't discussed it yet. I checked with Ashley before, I think 2 weeks ago, when they had last city council meeting.
I personally think it should be raised,
I agree.
because you gotta have healthy employees.
But yeah, there's no negative to having employees utilizing the fitness center. There's no negative that I can see on that, so.
The only thing that came up, and we have this, we're trying to eliminate this us versus them sort of mentality, right? So we should strive to, I don't disagree with providing this to our team members. I would just say we probably need to make sure we're not too far afield from where the city is, so we don't end up with a us versus them, or continue to have an us versus them perspective.
These monies don't come out of our health insurance fund at all, they come out of our general fund, just like they would for all of our other benefits, that we don't match the city on other benefits.
What would the employees like?
Nobody said how much they would like.
Colbert?
We sent out a survey asking different options, and just one of the employees had mentioned more of a discount at the wellness center, and they thought maybe more employees would take advantage of it.
I think more might take advantage of it as well.
So are you thinking, how many percent?
Where my husband works, they do 50%. I know hospital employees get 100%.
No, we still get taxed on it.
Well, yeah, but you get it. This is taxable too. This is taxable. So you don't have to pay for your membership, but you get taxed on it.
I get taxed on it.
Our employees get taxed on it
Yeah.
also.
I can't remember what we do, but I think we're 50%.
I'd like to raise it to 50%. I would love to see it 50%.
Well, that would be 40 for us and 10 from, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Is 10%.
However, if you wanted it to be that way, then it would be 40%
Yeah.
for HMU, because then the wellness center would do 10.
Yeah, I would support that.
I would too. And I think that would make the employees happy too.
Well,
I'm fully supportive of taking care of the team. So I think somebody needs to talk to Gene or the mayor and make sure that they are taking care of their people. Yeah. And then the only other thing I just want to discuss is I'm not sure that the board of trustees should be eligible for this.
We never had any trustees that have taken advantage of it, but yeah, that's how it was written up.
Well, they don't get, I know I don't get a discount now.
But as I say,
I've been a member for 4 years, and they've offered me anything.
I'm not sure where the board of trustees fits into this either, so I would.
That's how it was approved by the board, sorry.
When was that?
Well, we're in the process of editing it, so this would be.
Yeah, you certainly can take
I
would take that out, and but I kind of agree with Jim that it would be neat or nice if we could get a consensus from the city so that we would, but if they don't want to go there, I don't know if it would change anything, so we might as well go for it, and hopefully they match us.
Yep. We're striving to be.
Yeah.
Right, consistent. That's what we want to be, is consistent, but also, I mean.
Yeah, I think this is.
There are a lot of benefits to
So,
being us in the city that
do you need a motion on this, or?
I motion to change it to 40% HMU contribution and remove board of trustees.
And do you want to have a maximum dollar amount at all? Because this is not for just the wellness center. When this was put into place, it was for any fitness center.
Oh no, should just be for the wellness. I mean, what are the fitness centers in Harlan?
Well, at that time, there were other ones.
Oh.
Right now, there isn't, but looking forward, there could be. And this policy pertains to any fitness center. So do you guys want to just leave it at 40% no matter what the cost is? Or do you want to put a dollar amount? Do you want to add a maximum dollar amount, or should I take that portion out?
How much is their membership right now?
If their website is up to date, which I believe it is, there's different amounts. A 40% discount would be up to $225 for a family.
So the family would only have to pay.
That is what the HMU cost would be, is $225.60 with a 40% off. So this amount would need to be raised to maybe, if you wanted to count future increases, maybe $250.
Okay.
Yep. I'll go with that, 250.
So the motion is 40%, remove the board of trustees, and a max of 250.
50 a year.
I second that motion.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Ella, aye.
Okay. Item number 9, water plant operators tuition repayment agreement.
Yeah, that's just a review and possibly approve this tuition payback agreement for any water plant operator classes that HMU paid for.
Is this all new or is this a revision of an existing policy?
Yeah, wasn't anything, nothing in place before. I guess we had something, I mean, there's something in place for linemen, correct?
It's lined up the same as what the lineman one would be and the CDL one would be.
And this is basically, if they were to leave their employee before a certain date, they would be responsible for
I
paying
think
back.
5 years, correct?
Okay. And that's if it matches up with the electrical department.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Darrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Randy, did you second that?
Aye.
Thanks.
I don't think we're gonna be out of it, so.
It's fun.
Well, we're moving as best I can. Item number 10, purchase to replace electric SCADA software and server.
Yes, this is a non-budgeted item. I know we've talked about it with the finance committee. We're having issues right now with kind of more periodic help for when we do have some issues with the SCADA system. So I guess we were looking at the fact of, trying to save money by moving forward with the new system, so we're not trying to call up and whenever we have issues. And then also there, of course, is availability of funds in the electric department for this at this point.
Okay. The difference between A and B is fairly significant. Is there a difference in what they're offering?
Actually,
You would be approving both.
yeah,
Oh,
that is a
both.
combination, yes. Oxon's got to come in and get the server set up and everything, and then the rest is utility code and Snyder Electric as far as the actual software, getting it set up, so forth.
Okay, so
Hardware.
even though it's, I guess, we do a budget and we put things that are on the budget that are unfunded. So to bring us this independent of whatever else is already unfunded is, where does this fall out on the priority of things that are unfunded in the capital expenditure list of the budget? Is this the top priority? Does something else ahead of this? Well, we need to stop having one-off discussions. Where is this on the prioritized list of CapEx expenditures in the electric department?
It's been having issues, and when I came aboard, the first week I was here, we had issues. And we've had issues periodically throughout, and when we do, we have to call a consultant to come in and correct it. And this was something that we had brought, as far as a priority. If we don't make it a priority, we just keep paying $1,200 to $1,500 every time it happens, which is, to me, brings a somewhat of a priority, and it messes up our MISO, because when the software glitches, it makes our demand go through the roof by just it really doesn't, but it shows it on the graph, and it shows that, so then we have to go back and correct at the end of the year. Deb has to do that, and with the MISO, and our guy that has to change the stuff has to recreate the paperwork. So that's where the funds come from, and that's what affects our MISO sales as well.
So to your point, Jim, I'd say it's number one priority as far as any risk of electrical.
Okay. I mean, that's the other thing, I mean, we should,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can now. If you were talking before, we couldn't.
Okay, when we had that meeting, the finance committee meeting, this was one of the priorities that we talked about and decided that it was something that had to be done, and they had the money in their budget. Placing the filters or something in the water department came in less. And so there was money to do this. And so I don't think we need to question whether it's a priority or not. We made it a priority and we said, yes, get the prices and come back to the board and we'll vote on it. So questioning whether it's a priority or not, I don't think we need to do that. We already made it a priority.
yeah, so what I think Nella's referring to, and I agree with her, I just want to make sure that in the finance committee discussion, was this what was presented, or was it the telecommunications upgrade, phone upgrade during the finance committee meeting? Where we had
No,
All three were discussed.
all three were discussed, but this was the priority.
okay. So it is budgeted then? Or it was,
Sorry, what?
funds were already allocated for this then?
No,
No.
but that's the whole thing with, these SCADA systems all have a finite lifetime on them. So we should get it on the budget at a certain point. I mean, if
Correct.
this is approved,
Or
we ought to know
carry
that.
some over every year.
Every year, have something in the budget for SCADA systems, because we're doing the same now with the water, we're gonna, electric, you know.
We're running 2008, Windows 2008
Yeah.
to keep it going because we can't go anything newer because our software won't support anything
Yeah.
newer than
So I'm
Windows
saying we
2008.
should get all these programs, you know, since they're key to managing all of these utilities, we've got to get them in a budget that's recurring every year or every 3 years or whatever, so that we can, so we don't have it coming forward as an unbudgeted item.
Yeah, and that's my goal, is to, moving forward, to get into this next budget, that we won't be coming to you with this. I mean,
Yeah,
get through my first time and then vote down and Colburn's first time through budget.
yeah, because it's like you say, we've got a 14-year-old software here, and then we're putting a management system on it, and that's not much better, so let's,
This will be modernized, I mean, we can't, this is the latest and greatest that we can go. So
but we know
hopefully-
it'll be latest and greatest for only X number of years.
Couple years.
Yeah, it's gonna be 3 or 5 years, and then it's gonna be another latest and greatest, so we should have a budget put together that,
8 to 10.
whatever. You say 8 to 10, but tomorrow will be 3 to 5. And next week it'll be a year.
Well, that being said, do I have a motion to
Yeah.
approve the purchase?
I'll make a motion that we
All right,
carry this forward.
I'll second the motion.
roll call,
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reside.
Sheldon, aye.
Nella?
Tiger eye.
Okay, item number 11, Bobcat track loader rollover quote in the amount of $78.88.
Yes, this is just a continuation of the current rollover agreement with the skid loader.
Okay. Questions?
Yeah, so these have got to be, to Nella's point earlier, is it budgeted? Is this budgeted?
Yeah, it's in that program, correct?
Okay, so it's a budgeted item, it exceeds the, whatever threshold you have.
2,500.
And that's the only reason it's in front of the board, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Need a motion?
A motion to pass.
Second.
Rollover quote.
Good there.
Roll call,
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reside.
Sheldon, aye.
Who seconded that? Randy, okay, sorry, this crackled right when.
Okay. All right, item 12, resolution 92-2022, updating the nepotism section of the manual of benefits and personnel policies.
Yeah, this basically, we talked about it last month there, where we're gonna strike first cousin, uncle, aunt, nephew, and niece from the resolution. And we're also eliminating any CEO exception clause, because we feel we strike that information, that's, you know, that should be a policy we should be able to follow, and we shouldn't have to make any exceptions on.
Okay. Questions? I think we covered this pretty extensively last time.
we don't need to.
And the only thing I'd like to add is it'll be approved today, but it won't be effective until November 1, just because it's part of the handbook, so we have to give the employees a period of notice.
All right.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to pass resolution 92-2022.
I second that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Hybrid aye.
Okay.
So no exceptions?
Item number 13, managed internet service provider quotation from Go Secure for 3 years commencing 11/16 of 2022. The amount of $19,800.
This is an ongoing, typical 3-year quotation, or, right? We had the last one for 3, Jim, correct?
Yeah, it's a three-year renewal of Go Secure, which is formerly Edgewave. It's our email filter for harlanet.com email addresses. It's very good. It actually works better than Office 365 spam. The difference, in past years, we paid up front the whole amount for 3 years. In this agreement, it's to be paid in monthly increments, so we will no longer pay it, or at least that's the way I'm reading their agreement.
I'm assuming that's 19,800 with an extra zero, and it's not 190,000.
Oh, yes.
You are correct, it is 19, that's my mistake.
Fair enough. So this just carries on with the service that we're already providing, and
It says so on this page, just so you are sure.
questions on that? Would entertain a motion then?
Entertain a motion to manage internet services provider at $19,800.
Second.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye?
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Hybrid aye.
And number 14 is the agreement with McClure for the raw water treatment project in the amount of $1,003,492.
Yeah, this is the final agreement to cover their engineering costs for that proposed water project. Kind of the discussions we had, and get sent you guys back that kind of their audit of their numbers. And of course, it's the same number. I don't know if there's any discussion on that. I mean, it's kind of a hard number to swallow. I know that.
It's certainly higher than we wanted it to be, but
I don't know what our options are, I guess.
every option that I can see would add additional expense, so I don't.
Right, to try to redesign or get somebody else.
Anything that we can do to improve the situation. And obviously, this is a very important project for the water department, so.
So my question is, this is McClure, right?
Correct.
Are they, you mentioned they are also participating or going to help with that $500,000 grant application?
Correct.
Are we gonna, is that in here? Or are we gonna pay on top of that? In other words, we've made changes, that's cost us an extra $260,000. We're going after a grant, is that gonna cost us money as well? In other words, whatever we're asking them to do, they're gonna say, yeah. And it's just gonna keep eating away. And at some point, we're gonna run out of money to actually do the well field stuff. Because the material costs are gonna exceed, we're gonna end up with $5 million worth of a USDA loan and only $2 million worth of stuff we can actually do because we've spent all our money on McClure and design and engineering.
And that's definitely a question I'll ask of them, Jim, before we actually send this agreement back to them. Ask them about this, application for the funding and see where that's at. Is that included in that, It was something that came up after they gave us that number, but then again,
They just sent us the information.
yeah, just sent us the information. So hopefully, I can talk to them tomorrow there and just make sure that that's part of that number. Or what are we looking at for numbers to try to do the grant portion of it.
Yeah, so as that increases and actual funding available for materials and actual construction costs for this well field, what's the break-even point? What is the no-go criteria? In other words, as this continues to grow and grow and grow, prices continue to grow and grow and grow, where are we gonna lose value on, is it $3 million? Is it $2.5 million? What is it that we need to actually get what we need done in the well field?
We've got those project estimation costs in there. But that's all estimates. The material's going and labor's going.
And on this same thing too, Jim, that $1,003,492.50, that does include like $225,000 for inspection when they're actually doing the construction.
Right.
We talked to them and Donald's on board with it, but between probably us two or his crew, we're gonna try to do as much of that inspection as we can.
Okay.
Granted, McClure will have to be there for maybe some more critical stuff, but some of that day-to-day buried pipe, Donald screw or Donald, we can at least inspect that and not have somebody on McClure personnel on site, 24 hours a day,
Okay.
7 days.
Because that was $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, we're hoping, if we can save half of that 222, I'd be happy. But I think that's doable. And I know, Matt, you had a couple, I think you just had more concerns on that one, clear. Just a few things to point out is what you had in email.
I did, I wasn't expecting to address that today, but.
Right. But I don't think it's anything that's gonna.
No, I didn't find anything in there that would, make it so that I would say, do not sign this agreement.
Correct.
If I recall, I'd have to go back to my email memo to you and Jenny.
Yeah. But I assume if we could maybe approve contingent on you signing it, once we get everything put together.
Is this a not to exceed agreement?
No. I think like the basic design is a lump sum. That inspection, I think, that was an estimate, that $222,000 was an estimate by the hour.
Yeah, so do we have a not to exceed kind of to help with, the water department? Do we have a not to exceed before, or does the contractor just keep going?
Oh, as far as cost.
You mean
of the budget?
the general contractor?
Yeah, in other words, as it relates to this agreement.
Well, this agreement's only for the design of it.
Right.
But so that, and they aren't going to give you a not to exceed when they're saying, well, you made this change. So those are all you're going to pay for. And the contract amount for it it's based on their current estimates from a general contractor. So they've based it all on, this is the scope of work.
And then change orders come in. Yep.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna know the hard numbers until we bid it,
Yeah.
as far as the construction.
They aren't going to give you a not to exceed at this point.
All right, well, in the interest of time, unless there's anything else, I would entertain a motion to approve the agreement with McClure.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Sarah, aye.
Reside.
Sheldon, aye.
Nella?
Favor day.
Okay, item number 15, the Avoca ground line inspection and treatment project contract revision from EXO.
Yeah, that's the contract with the low bidder for that maintenance work. That has been reviewed by Matt. I think Matt had a few questions on that. We are waiting, I guess, to get that final version from the contractor. I guess just we're trying to save time instead of waiting for next month. I guess I was just wanting to probably approve that contingent on everything looking good to Matt.
Yeah, and did you?
And then we can get it signed as soon as we get it in hand.
You sent that along to them and, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't think it was very high expectation situations that
Correct.
would be objectable. So, yeah, I think that we can vote to do that.
And nothing changed up in the dollar amount.
Yeah, the dollar amounts are still the same. It was just in verbiage in the contract itself.
So you want a motion to approve the contract for the Avoca line inspection?
Pending legal approval.
Pending the final legal document coming back?
Yes.
Correct. I'll make that motion.
With the appropriate changes.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Michelle, aye.
Carol, aye.
Reese, aye.
Sheldon, aye.
Okay, on to information only items.
Yeah, Jim had kind of touched on that as far as the possibility of a $500,000 grant that McClure made us aware of. They were wanting some information, I guess, that we were gathering here today, yesterday. We'd like to have that information by the 3rd. Application is due the 28th. So
I'm with Jim on the sense that if that's something that they're doing for us for free, I'm fine with it. If not, we can do it in-house, because we certainly don't need to increase our expenses in any way at this point.
Right.
If they're going to turn around and charge us 20% fee on that.
Yeah, so,
They probably will.
well, that's what we need to make sure of. Otherwise, everybody likes grant money.
Sure. Well, number 5, or 35, legal control easement, there, item B. Essentia had comments on the easement documentation. We made those changes, and then we had sent it back to Essentia for review, and then Matt also reviewed it. Essentia's ready to sign it, so. They do have the one, I guess, stipulation as far as them being uninterruptible in the future. So they kind of want some kind of, but I told them, I said, well, that, they want some kind of assurance or documentation. We certainly cannot make that assurance until we know we've got our wells all in place. You know, or even with our new, I guess our new rates would show, you know, uninterruptible status for them.
You're just talking water only.
Water only.
I'm not sure that you can ever.
Well, based on
Outside
what
the city
today's
limits, I don't
rates.
believe we could ever guarantee them that, so I don't know how you would do that.
Well, because also if they grow the business or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah,
We could provide an unlimited amount of water to them or whatever.
There's some hurdles to go through.
Yeah, but yeah, that would be impossible, so.
Well, we can go back to them, I guess, and work out something, you know, and find out exactly what they're looking at, if they're looking for a volume number, you know.
Let's just help ourselves here. If they are asking for an uninterruptible rate or uninterruptible source, the answer is only if you're inside the city limits. And then let them go talk to the city about annexation. The answer is, hey, you're not in our lit territory.
Sure.
So the answer is, in order to change that, you need to go talk to whomever.
Sure. Okay, item C, emergency repair of the 69 kV utility pole in Avoca. We had maybe Colburn can talk about it, but there was a fire on a pole right north of Avoca Sunday. So there's got to be a pole replaced, and I know Colburn's been trying to get in touch with some contractors, but with the issues down in Florida, everybody's down that way. We can't get anybody to get it done in a timely manner. I know you got anything to add on there, Colburn? You've been talking to some of the contractors.
Yeah, it was actually, the fire was actually on Saturday morning.
Oh, Saturday.
Which really doesn't make any difference, but what I've gotten out of the big contractors that would do that kind of work is maybe in a couple weeks. So I'm trying to buy time with NIPCO because they want it replaced as soon as possible. But there's like PAR, they're a huge electric company. They don't have a single person in Iowa. They're all in Florida.
And,
So that's.
and yeah, Mid-American Energy's also on those poles too, kind of with some of their primary. So we got to coordinate that with them as far as the.
Do we own that? We're responsible for the maintenance and all that, or that?
Yeah, the
Yes.
whole line, yeah, 10 mile.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else?
Is there a danger that it possesses right now?
It's got so what happened was is it grounded through the bolt that holds the T, crossed it.
Yeah.
So it burnt all the way through and burnt half the pole on the other side. So if you get a big wind, all of our lines are above that.
Snap.
Doesn't make any difference.
Okay.
On the errands anyways.
It must be Bob.
Okay.
All right.
On to the report. I've got several items, but I'll go through them here quick. Tower crew was on site Wednesday the 21st, tested the wiring for our beacons that aren't all working. Wiring checked out, so now they're looking at, Jim's ordering 3 new beacons that you stated they are under warranty yet, correct?
They're under warranty, they'll send us 3 new ones.
Yeah. So once those beacons are in hand, then we'll get the tower crew scheduled again. Hopefully we can turn this around in 30 to 45 days. Get it done.
And that's for the,
Yeah, our tower down here.
right.
Item B, new office phones are in. Everything's working well on those. Item C, state auditors were on site on Tuesday, August 30th for their entrance meeting to audit HMU in reference to sanitary and landfill billing. We'll likely have an exit meeting at the end of the year with a report to follow in possibly January on that audit. That's what we're looking at. Waiting to hear from Tenaska after we had a meeting back in August to find out if we can eliminate Marlin Verba's services. Haven't heard back from them yet. There was one report I think we were looking at that that Marlin was doing that they thought they could do, but we haven't heard back. So I'll have to just touch base with them again, and then maybe we can eliminate that additional cost as far as what Marlin's working on for us. Mini backhoe was delivered this week, and that's the same type of rollover agreement as the skid loader was from Bobcat. And then on that same thing, there's a budgeted dump trailer to haul the mini hoe. That should arrive in the next week or 2. Water watch will end here September 30.
Washing my truck.
Thank goodness.
And go back to regular or normal usage.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, that's the end of this month, so. And then September anniversaries, Jim, 9 years, and Trevor Harrison, 2 years. That's all I have.
All right. Well, we have a possible closed session to discuss strategy with council and matters that are presently in litigation, or where litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body in that litigation.
Jenny, you have.
I was just gonna let you guys know that we do have another lineman hired, that will be starting next Monday. So he has 18 years of experience, so we're pretty excited that we found somebody, and yeah, so I wanted to make sure you guys will do that.
All right, well, I need a motion to go into closed session.
Motion to.
I'll make a motion to go to closed session.
Second.
Roll call.
Shall I?
Carol, aye.
Reset.
Sheldon, aye.
No,
Nell is
I muted her.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
I will unmute her now.